Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach, and there have been a lot of changes since the last batch of videos that I have recorded, and I want to cover those things first before I get into some of the code that I'm going to be talking about today. First of all, you might notice that I'm going to be looking over this way a little bit. It's because I finally figured out how to get this USB monitor that I've had for a couple of years now working with the laptop that I've had for almost a year, my personal laptop. And it took a while to figure out how to make this work. And the end result is pretty simple, is I needed a USB hub, a powered hub, and getting that hooked up suddenly made this one come alive. So now I can have OBS running over here and monitoring what I'm doing while I'm recording. So that's good. So at least now I don't have the problem of accidentally bringing up a screen that I didn't want to for whatever reason, or not so much that, but that I won't have OBS in the background when I'm switching through screens, because this screen right here is the one that I'm recording on. So I'm going to have to remember to not keep looking over there, because when I had OBS here, I would kind of see myself, and now I see myself over here. So it's going to take a little bit to get used to, but it's all good. You also notice that the video looks a little different because it's more squarish now. I found apparently we had some high definition cameras sitting around the house that I had no idea about. So I actually have two of them now plugged into my computer, and this one right here is the one that I'm using, and it seems to look a lot better than the camera that's on the laptop. So I'm going to give this one a try and see how it works. It has the square look rather than the widescreen look or whatever, but I don't know, it kind of looks nice. What's interesting is if I make it bigger and take up the whole screen, the quality seems a heck of a lot better. So whereas when I did that with the camera that's from my laptop, it looked like garbage, and I was never happy with it. So hopefully that actually will lead me to get inspired to start doing some streaming. And I actually have some thoughts now with doing some streaming, not necessarily with code out of the gate. I have an idea where I may be doing some reviews. I was doing some review videos with books and videos, and while I like that, I didn't necessarily enjoy editing them, partly because of the fact that the image just looked like crap, and I just was never happy with it. So I may do that as a stream now, just like every other Saturday or something like that. Just talk about books that I've read and movies that I've seen, and people want to talk about it or chat about it while I'm doing it. Great. If not, no big deal. I do it for about 15-30 minutes and then I'm done, So anyway, it's new camera, new monitor, and that's all nice and good, and I'm happy about that. One thing that I also want to talk about that I'm not happy about is the fact that I got COVID, and it was because of being very stupid. For a year or so, I've been, I would say, pretty diligent about being safe and being careful about going out and wearing a mask and stuff like that. And my wife, she started getting her shots. She's actually fully vaccinated, as am I now. But she got them before anybody else because she works in the school system, and they made an exception for her, and she got on the list, which is good, because when this happened, she was already in that fully vaccinated stage. I think because the vaccines were coming, I had actually already had my first shot 2 weeks before this happened, and I think a little bit of complacency kicked in. A friend of mine came along with me and my older son to go trap shooting because my son wanted some practice, as they're now actually doing that in the school. They didn't do that last year, and my older son was kind of disappointed with that because he really likes trap shooting, but they're doing it this year and he wanted to get some practice. So a friend of mine who lives directly north of me came to my house, and then the range is directly south of me. And we just kind of decided to drive together. And he seemed fine. And I was thinking, well, we should drive in the same car, save some gas, save the planet and all that good stuff. But there was a part of me that was saying, Jason, take a separate car, take a separate car. You should take a separate car. And I was not trusting my instinct. I was not trusting my gut. I just was being lazy, being complacent, and I think just wanting to hang out with somebody driving in a car. And that was stupid because we didn't wear masks in the car. So yeah, it was just one letdown, one moment, one moment. And that next morning he texts me and says, he's like, oh no, I feel really like I feel kind of feverish. I got a headache. I don't feel good. I'm going to actually go in and get tested because I may be, and I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did get tested. So he did the test and he tested positive. So now I'm panicking. I'm like, oh no. And a couple days later, I developed a fever, a low-grade fever. It wasn't, the fortunate thing out of all this was that me, my older son, we both tested positive. My younger son, we never got him tested because he was already in quarantine. He said he started to lose sense of taste and smell. So we figured, well, he must have got it too, but that's been it for him. But when I had the symptoms, they were only for like a day or so, and then they went away. And my older son, I think he felt a little crappy one day, but that was it. So the symptoms, fortunately, were mild for all of us. And again, my wife never got it. I did take the test, and it was interesting when, even though I knew it was going to come back positive, seeing that it said it was positive, I actually started to like panic sweat, and I had to change my shirt, and I had to tell myself, calm down. Your symptoms are, have already gone away. You're okay. You're fine. I think I was more just worried about my family than anybody else. So, end result is everything's fine. We all quarantined. We all, got through it, and it wasn't much to get through. And I now have my second shot. I did that last Thursday. And I did have some symptoms from that the symptoms from COVID were kind of like a fever and just feeling kind of crappy from a cold type of feeling. The effects from the second shot were actually a little bit annoying. I was okay until that like 24 hours, and then I started feeling feverish and started getting a headache, and I just basically lay down in bed and started just moaning for a while. And I was drinking water, and I was, taking Tylenol, but and I knew this could happen. And so I basically just said, all right, you gotta just calm down, lie down, and let it take its course. And after taking some more Tylenol, I just finally fell asleep. And then next thing I knew, I woke up in the morning and I felt awesome. No headache, no fever, everything was gone, and I was completely back to normal. So, all is well in our house, all is well in the Bach household, and things are good. And I'm happy that, the fact that unfortunately we did get it, but the symptoms were mild. The upshot is the three of us got natural immunity for 90 days. And my older son now, he's had his first shot, and he'll be getting his second one at the end of the month. Minnesota has now announced their plans to start lifting some of the mandates, and when they're going to do them. July 1st is when all mandates, from what I read, it sounds like they're going to mask mandates. All mandates will be uplifted or removed. yeah, gone, taken aside, whatever you want to call it. And that's very, very encouraging. We've been, I guess, doing really well as a state, getting people vaccinated. And it's, I wear a mask because it's the right thing to do. And it's extremely frustrating to hear people when they whine about wearing a mask. Just wear a damn mask. It's not hard. It's inconvenient. I don't like it. I'd rather not, but it makes sense. So, like, I was walking months ago in the grocery store and I see this guy wearing a mask that said, "This mask is as useless as my governor." Because our governor in Minnesota, some people don't like him. I'm like, why? Why are you saying this stuff? It's, this harms nobody. And it helps. It definitely helps. So, I almost think if I was in that car, if me and my son would have been wearing a mask, would we have actually, I don't know, would it have helped? I know one shot didn't. I had one shot and that was 2 weeks after. I still got it. Didn't help. Get 2 shots. Get them both. And, by the time this video goes out, it will probably be early June. I would hope that people that could have gotten the vaccine have already done it. I want things to go back to normal. I want to start to go to conferences and speak at conferences and have discussions with people and not have a fear of just breathing next to them will cause one of us to get sick or both of us to get sick. Because guess what? Being in a car with somebody, that's how I got it. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to, have that kind of specter hanging over my head. And I don't think anybody does. I want to start enjoying things again and seeing those things by July 1st completely being removed in Minnesota if we keep going in the direction that we're going, if not sooner, is so encouraging. My older son we found out from my older son that he goes at this camp. They're going to be doing the camp this summer. He'll be fully vaccinated by that time. And yeah, I'm so glad that they decided to have it. It's a camp that focuses on science and reason. Camp Quest. If you want a camp for your kids to go to, I highly recommend that one. It's a really good camp. And he's gone, I think, 3 times now, something like that. And this would be his 4th. And he was very, very happy to hear that because they had to cancel it last year. And he's very happy to hear that they're doing it this year. So yeah, things are looking up. And, in the United States, generally, yes. Places like India, I've heard it's just awful. And it's very, very sad to hear about how in some countries like that, it's not going well. So, I would hope that everywhere people would be able to take the vaccine and be able to get a vaccine to take it. It does have, symptoms. Sometimes, the results can be a little, make you feel under the weather, and that's all understandable. But I would gladly do that again. If I got to take a booster shot in the fall, I will gladly do that again because I don't want to keep, walking around with masks on. So, and I think I read that I'll leave on this note. I think I read from XKCD that, does he want to stop wearing masks? Yeah, but it hopes that it gets normalized that people wear masks when they feel sick or stay at home if they're not feeling well and not going to work and not feel like they're going to lose their job or something like that. I'd actually almost wonder if you go to a doctor's office or if you go to a hospital, that masks are just required now to go to those places. Why not? I don't, I was just thinking that. Why not do that? Maybe if you're going to the grocery store, you're going out to a restaurant, or you're going to a theater, no. And if you feel under the weather, stay home. Don't spread whatever you have. It's okay. You're not going to be a hero going to work or whatever you do to if you're feeling bad. But going to a medical facility, I'm starting to wonder, maybe the right thing to do is to have people just wear masks while they're there. Why not? It's where a lot of people go when they're sick. let's talk about some code. Just wanted to get that off my chest. I always keep talking about this project that I'm going to start working on as this fun kind of experiment. And I started to write console app 2. I tweeted that a while ago, one weekend, to do some investigations, and that seemed to show some promise. But that's not what I'm going to be talking about today. What I'm going to be talking about is a project I got nerd sniped on, which is from, I'll get the website up, from this site, WebAssembly for .NET. And Ryan Lemansky, I found out, actually lives in Minnesota. I think he lives in St. Paul, which is quite kind of funny. He built this project to let you create and edit WASM files in .NET. And in fact, there's also a way that you can take a WASM file and compile it into IL, because the WebAssembly opcodes and stuff are, from what I understand, basically a subset of what you can do on IL. So you can just take that, create that back into IL, and then have a library that you can use as native .NET code, which is pretty cool. But one of the things that you need to do that is you need to create, in fact, let me see if I can show that code here. Okay, this code here. And what you see is this compile from binary. Okay, and then you pass in a class that has, it has to be an abstract class. I don't think it can be an interface, but I'm not sure about that. But it has methods that match the signatures of your exports. And then if you have imports, then you can do that as well by following this. The point of all this is that you can have a way to, call these methods, these exported methods, and provide imports, callbacks to a WASM file directly in native.NET. But this class here, you have to write by hand. And so a while ago, I said it would be kind of cool if there was some way to generate code. You already see the hint here. A way to generate code to build this for you. Okay. And about a week or two ago, somebody posted on that issue. In fact, I got that up here, don't I? I should. Because, well, I think it's a closed issue now, so I got to show closed. Where is it? Generate classes for WASM. Yeah, so that's what I put in, almost a year ago. And then somebody said, because Roslyn source generators kick in, maybe you should do this with Roslyn. And all of a sudden I saw that and I went, yeah, you can see my comment. That's a very intriguing idea. So I went off and I started building a source generator for this. And I've got it working. I don't have the NuGet package published yet because I'm working on a feature, and I'm going to hopefully end this video and the next one working on it. We'll see. But this has actually been kind of a pain in the butt to do. And for a couple of reasons. One of them, this was a minor issue, but this WebAssembly NuGet package targets .NET Core 3.1. Well, I can't target that in a source generator project because I need to target something that's .NET Standard 2.0. Okay, well, that works because in the sense that there was an older version, is like 0.9 version. He was targeting 0.9.0. I'm sorry, he was targeting .NET Standard 2.0 in that version. So that's the one I'm targeting. Okay. I didn't realize how complicated it gets when you try to reference a NuGet package that your source generator needs. Now, this is documented in the cookbook for source generators from Microsoft, but I'm so used to so many years of, I need to reference this NuGet package from my project. I go off and reference the package and everything just works. That's not what happens in source generators. You have to do all this extra work to get the, and it's not like it's a lot of work, but to me, it was unexpected work, even though it's documented, because I didn't read the documentation because reasons. But I mean, the documentation on source generators is not the greatest. It needs a lot of love. So yeah, I didn't realize that, and it became like, why is this not working? why am I not able to get my stuff to work? And then I was trying to bring in metadata properties for my source generator, and that wasn't working. And I didn't realize you actually needed a props file and put them there and define. And it was like, what the, it just was one thing after another, trying to reference that WebAssembly NuGet package in my WebAssembly generators package. Like I said, that took time to figure out how to do that right. But when I would reference my project from another project as an analyzer, I was getting file load exceptions or something, because for whatever reason, it was just not consistently loading this WebAssembly NuGet project or package. So on and on and on and on and on. The actual work to do this has been relatively straightforward, but it's all these things that were getting in the way that I had to go to people from Microsoft and say, I can't figure this out. I don't know what the problem is. And, some of the responses were, yeah, some of these things are a little fragile. And, and then the other thing too, that I didn't realize is the way this works. And again, I'll show you the code in a second. The way this works is that you reference a WASM file as an additional file. And then I load that with this WebAssembly project and then create some C# code. Well, apparently doing I/O with an additional file is something they want you to avoid for performance reasons. And I get why, which sounds weird, because if I'm referencing an additional file, why would that be a problem? But I think the intent is you're referencing a file that can be read and streamed from from source generators itself. Though I say that now, and I think they have some examples where they're reading JSON files and CSV files and using JSON parsers to do that. And I'm like, well, isn't that the same thing? Wouldn't you have the same problem? So I don't know. I do have a task in here that I'm eventually going to break this out so that the logic of here's a WASM file, generate C# code is like in a core project, then have it as a client, have a client as a source generator or a .NET tool or something else. I don't know. And again, it's this thing that I have in my head about design, that you should always have your logic in things that are separated from the presentation layer. And I'm not really doing that right now. So in any event, what does this look like? Let's actually talk about what this thing looks like. So it's, again, just a source generator. You can see here that I'm building all these methods, and I'm also looking for if the WASM file has any imports defined as well. So I will actually create the imports class, and I'll create a way for you to, and that's the thing I'm working on right now. Well, I did just finish that, is the create method here. So when I run this, I go into I have things referenced as a NuGet host here. You'll notice, let me show you the callback one. And there's a lot to see here, but this is the code that references a WASM file that has one export, and then there's one import that's here. And so I pick all this up, and then I have this create method that I generate so that I can say compile from binary, where is the WASM file, and then do an import dictionary where I can now specify all the imports, and all you have to do is provide an implementation of this class. Okay. So if I go into how I'm actually using this, you can see that I have right here. I have a create. This imports, implements this method where I'm going through the collapse conjecture here. And every time this callback gets called, that's the next number in the sequence. Okay. I haven't done this with any memory allocation or like arrays in WebAssembly. And I just did this as a callback type of thing. Every time you call this method, where is it? Here. It's actually calling this callback and giving you the next number in the sequence, and I put that in a list. So then I can print out this number here, or the list of numbers, and it all works. I can't show it to you right now because I'm in the middle of doing something else, which is what I'm going to probably do in the next episode. But I'm fixing something that I will talk about, yes, in the next episode, and then I'll work on finishing that feature up there. So yeah, it's been fun because you no longer have to write, for example, this. Well, that's not the right thing. That's the right thing. Okay. You no longer have to write this. You don't have to write the static class. This is something that's just extra that I did, which is a helper method. But you didn't have to write the thing that's not highlighted. Okay. That's been one of the things that I like about source generators is you're looking at this content and you can build out C# code. And now I don't have to write that. I can just reference, if I go back up to my project here, I can just reference, that file is an additional file. I can also provide the name of the export class, and if I want a namespace as well. And then the default is to, if there's imports, it will just take this name and put imports there. If you don't provide a name, it just uses the name of the file itself. Okay. So yeah, so that's all working now. It's all good. But I am working on another feature, and I'll explain what that is in the next episode. And then I'll work on hopefully finishing it out. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.